I'm Lydia Peri, and today I'll be talking to you about Nevada's first advanced purified water demonstration study. I'm with the Truckee Meadows Water Authority as the Emerging Resources Program Administrator, and I work on all things advanced purified water. Also talking today is Greg Pohll with TUMWA. He's the Principal Hydrogeologist and Modeler, and he'll be discussing the groundwater component of this project. So I'd like to start off today by discussing the current reclaimed water uses in the Truckee Meadows. So this is treated effluent that's sourced from regional water reclamation facilities, and it's used for irrigation, industrial, commercial, construction, different types of applications. This is the purple pipe that you may see at your local golf course or parks, and it's actually 10% of our area's total water supply. So having an option like this can really help reduce any strains that are put on our potable water supply. Our region has decades of experience of water recycling, and it's something that many water reclamation facilities are comfortable with, and it's regulated by the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection. You can see here on this busy slide there are several different categories of Nevada reclaimed water regulations. In the Truckee Meadows, we are actually only producing Category A and Category B currently, used for spray irrigation of lawns, golf courses, and parks. But you can see on the far right there's this Category A+, and this was introduced in 2016, and it is advanced purified water. So this is something that's new, and this is what the One Water Nevada project is investigating. There are several requirements a water must meet in order to be classified as Category A+, and commonly Category A+ is referred to as advanced purified water. These regulations include meeting federal and state drinking water regulations, which also include your federal primary drinking water regs, your Nevada secondary MCLs, and also 12-10-10 log reduction for virus, giardia, and cryptosporidium. And these log reductions were modeled after California's Title 22 regulations for water recycling. In order to be Category A+, also have to remove unregulated constituents to below health guidance levels, and these unregulated constituents are things like pharmaceuticals, personal care products, flame retardants, and you may also have seen in the news lately these perfluorinated compounds such as PFOS and PFOA, and these are things like Teflon from your pots and pans. And the final thing that it requires is an environmental buffer. So a Category A+ water must be introduced into groundwater through an injection well. It has to meet Category A+ requirements, everything I've just mentioned above, before it's even injected and introduced into a local groundwater aquifer. Once it's introduced and the water moves down gradient, natural treatment occurs and you have a further improvement to water quality. So I'm going to refer to Category A+ now as advanced purified water. So I'm going to discuss what it is and what it isn't. So advanced purified water is sourced from regional water reclamation facilities, and from there it goes through several different treatment steps and also natural purification processes to achieve this advanced purified water status. It's regulated to the rigorous state and federal standards that I mentioned on the last slide, and there are several uses. It can be used for groundwater replenishment. It is suitable for potable or other high quality uses. Now, what it isn't. Advanced purified water is not being produced in our region at this time. It is not purple pipe reclaimed water that we see used for irrigation. It is a much higher quality than that and goes through several more advanced purified water processes to be achieved at that advanced purified water level. It's not intended to increase disposal to the Truckee River, and a really important thing is it's not appropriate to treat all effluent to advanced purified quality. You wouldn't treat your entire treatment plant to advanced purified water just to use some of it as spray irrigation or spray to keep dust down at a construction site. So it's just not practical, and it's important to know that. This map shows a summary of all of the advanced purified water programs and demonstrations throughout the United States, and many of these have been in service for decades. This is nothing new. The one thing to note is you can see that there are several projects on the coast, and many of these use reverse osmosis as their treatment technology. Reverse osmosis creates a brine stream of all the concentrated constituents you want removed, and it's easy for them to just dispose of that into the ocean. But we don't have that luxury here in Nevada, being an inland community. So this is what makes us special. One Water Nevada is looking at different technologies and trying to apply it in a way that inland communities around the nation are watching and are considering for their projects. This brings us to the One Water Nevada Advanced Purified Water Demonstration Study. This is a collaborative effort with all of the agencies you see listed at the bottom of the screen. And you can see in the photos that these are the treatment trailers that housed all of the treatment technologies that were used during this study. So the One Water Nevada demonstration study was at the Reno-Stead Water Reclamation Facility, and our main goal was to determine if advanced purified water could provide long-term benefits for our region's water future. And this demonstration was small scale. We had 3 treatment trailers that had different treatment technologies housed in each of them. And we're talking only about 10 to 15 gallons a minute. So this gave us a lot of control on how we operated the units and investigated these different types of technology. We were at Reno-Stead for about a year, from October 2019 to November 2020. But it's important to note that 2 of these trailers were at Washoe County's facility, the South Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility, for about a year and a half to 2 years before that. So this gave the team a lot of time to really get to know this technology, test it in various ways, and find out what worked the best with our region and our goals. So we've been at these trailers for quite some time. So once we're at the Reno-Stead Water Reclamation Facility, we worked for from October all the way till the following September on understanding these treatment technologies, very vast water quality analysis and sampling. And that led us to being able to inject in late September of 2020. We injected for about 6 weeks, and this was under a regulation from NDEP. We're granted a temporary discharge and UIC permits in order to do this. This was operated and maintained by TUMWA and the City of Reno. We had our wastewater operators, our drinking water operators. I was out there every day. I practically lived at these trailers, but it was a great experience and collaborative effort with the agencies and operators. UNR was there. They developed the sampling program and conducted the majority of the water quality sampling and analysis. And TUMWA hydrogeologists were managing the temporary injection program. So now I'm going to take you through each and every trailer and describe the treatment technology. So the first is conventional filtration. This is coagulation, flocculation, clarification, and granular media filtration. This is nothing new. This is very, very common at drinking water facilities. And in fact, it's the same process going in at TUMWA's Mount Rose drinking water facility. So the goals of this trailer are for pathogen and turbidity reduction. The more you remove turbidity, based on the enhanced surface water rule, you have more pathogen reduction. So this is the cool thing about this is it's new to wastewater applications. You know, it's very common in drinking water facilities, but not commonly used at all in advanced purified water studies. So we're really pioneering this effort of, can you apply this drinking water approach to an advanced purified water approach where you're starting with a wastewater source? It's a non-membrane approach, and we had very, very positive results with this. The second trailer is Ozone biologically active carbon filtration. So this trailer receives water from the conventional filtration trailer, and it's a 2-step process. Your first step is introducing ozone to the water, and that ozone oxidizes and degrades organic compounds. You have organic compounds, some are long chains, some have short chains, and the ozone is causing these chains to become weaker, and that allows it to be easily removed on the next step, which is the biologically active carbon filter. So there are microbes living on the surface of these carbon filters, and as water filters through them, these microbes degrade and remove the organic compounds that were already weakened from ozone. So these 2 steps work together, and concentrations of organic compounds are significantly reduced. One thing we do consider though is bromate and disinfection byproduct formation. You are adding ozone, which can oxidize compounds in the water that then you can create your disinfection byproducts, which we don't want. So there's a happy balance of how much ozone do you add to where you're limiting these formations of disinfection byproducts, but you're adding enough to where you're getting enough removal of organic compounds. And the final trailer is granular activated carbon and UV disinfection. This trailer is owned by the One Water Nevada team, and we constructed it ourselves. So it's really cool. It can be used as a research platform for universities and other cities down the road. So the first step is GAC, and this is, again, nothing new for drinking water facilities. It acts as a polishing step, removes your organic compounds, and it's basically like a Brita filter on steroids, if you want to think of it that way. And our last step is ultraviolet disinfection. Again, very common in drinking water facilities as a method of disinfecting if you don't want to use chlorine or ozone. And it's very good at removing pathogens and inactivating your viruses. So this is the final trailer. At the end of this trailer, we have a water that meets all drinking water standards that we are required to meet. So from here, I pass the water on over to Greg, and it's injected into the aquifer.
Thanks, Lydia. Again, I'm Greg Pohll, and I'm going to be talking about the injection testing that was done at the site. Actually, 2 injection tests were performed at the site. The first was a 75-day injection test of potable water that was tagged with sulfur hexafluoride, or SF6. The purpose of this test was to determine the travel time between the injection well, the number 1 well, shown in red in the right figure, to the down gradient well, the number 3 well, shown in blue, which is 80 feet from the injection well. The second test was a 45-day injection test of A+ water, and in this case we used chloride as the tracer. Chloride wasn't actually added because there was a large differential in chloride concentrations between the injection water at about 80 milligrams per liter and the background ambient groundwater at about 20 milligrams per liter. In addition to the tracer testing, extensive water quality sampling was done to determine if any water quality changes occurred between the injection and the extraction. This included both regulated and unregulated constituents. Groundwater flow and transport modeling was done to help in the calculation of the travel time and to calculate the total mass that was recovered following the injection. Geochemical modeling was done to look at the potential for mobilization of metals following the injection period. This slide shows the results of the initial tracer test where SF6 was used as a tracer. The figure on the right shows the breakthrough at the extraction well. The initial travel time based upon 2% mass recovered was 4 days, and the mean arrival time was 33 days. The breakthrough curve behavior also indicated what we call a dual domain or fracture type response, where some of the fracture flow, some of the mass in the fractures actually diffuses into the immobile or matrix zone. We also found that 70% of the SF6 was recovered after 75 days, that's after the injection period, while 95% of the mass was recovered by the very end of the test after pumping was ceased on May 21st, 2020. This slide shows the results of the breakthrough curve for the second tracer test. Again, chloride was used as a tracer for this test. Really, there were 2 notable differences from this test. One is that there was slower breakthrough of chloride, primarily due to a smaller injection rate. And secondly, this breakthrough showed 2 peaks. The 2-peak response was due to injection being offline for about a 1-week period, and that after about 30 days. Secondly, the model was used to simulate the breakthrough curve behavior. You can see we're getting a very good fit between the simulated and measured breakthrough curve concentrations. And then subsequently, the model was used to predict when 90% mass recovery was to occur, which is a requirement of the UIC permit. And in this case, the model predicted that a 90% mass recovery would occur after about March 21st of 2021. With that, I'll turn it back over to Lydia to complete the presentation.
So now that Greg has gone over the groundwater component of this project, I'm going to review the technical indications and results that we saw. We had very positive results, and all water quality regulations and objectives were met. In our finished water on the back end of the 3 treatment trailers, the national primary drinking water contaminants were below MCLs, the Nevada secondary contaminants were below the secondary MCLs, pathogens were non-detect or 0 in the finished water, and unregulated CECs, those pharmaceuticals and other organic compounds, were non-detect or below guidance levels. Over the 6-week period, we successfully injected 220,000 gallons of A+ water, and an important thing to note here is that native groundwater was not degraded. Conventional water treatment approaches do show promise, and we found that conventional filtration could be used for an application like this. And we also discovered that these type of treatment trailers require considerable operator and maintenance staff requirements in order to keep them running and operating properly. So now looking at the next steps, the One Water Nevada team is currently completing the final report, which will be done in April 2021. City of Reno and Tumwa are working together to establish long-term objectives and working on a collaboration agreement to move forward. And this would include looking at Reno-Stead's effluent as a potential source for a demonstration scale facility. This means we're looking at a very, very high level basis of design and looking at our current options. And that would include a hydrogeologic and geochemical assessment at potential demonstration sites. It's important to note that this demonstration study that I just discussed opens the pathway for the next steps, but again, our team is taking our time and really looking at all of our options and where something like this would make the most sense. So thank you for listening today. We'll be happy to answer more questions in the next Q&A session. And if you're interested, go to onewaternevada.com. On the links page, there's several different videos where I'm talking more about the treatment technology if you're interested. Thanks for listening.